Hi everybody, it's Barry Rosen with lesson 2 of our spiritual astrology mini course. We are going to have 4 classes. This is lesson 2 on chakras. I'm going to do a sound check. I did bring home my broadcast mic, but the internet is, we have another ice storm this week, deja vu. This one's worse than the last one, so I'm working at home rather than traveling into the office, and so I have to deal with the home internet. So hopefully the sound quality will be good. Let me do a sound check real quick. Effie, how's the sound?
The sound's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, and I'll mute the rest of you, after we do chanting. Okay, let's start like we start all our classes with some bidding. Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Ganapatiye Namaha, Vakritunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprapa Nirvigyam Kurame Devasa Jnana Moolam Guru Murti Puja Moolam Guru Padam Mantra Moolam Guru Vakyam Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinam Atitamastu Madhurishaya Vahai Om Shanti 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 Om Aditye Samaye Mangulai Buddhaye Cha Guru Shukra Shanibhascha Rahave Ketave Namaha. Honoring the great ones, Lord Krishna, Goddess Saraswati, Veda Vyasa, and the holy tradition going back to Brahmananda Saraswati, honoring all my great teachers, welcoming our classmates. We have 9 people in the class. We have a couple of new people. There's some people that aren't here yet. Laura's not here yet. Julie's not here yet. Catherine's here. Harvest is in Denmark. Nicole's here. Judy's not here. Offie's here. Claudia Richley is new. I think I have the right picture, Claudia. Let me unmute you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Anyway, I think this is good. Claudia, was this the picture you sent me a couple years ago? Is that one still correct?
Yeah, that's still good. Still look the same.
Okay, great. Okay, good to have you with us. Jessica is here from California. I don't have a picture, Jessica. If you want to send me a picture, you can. I'll put it into the opening slides for the future. Okay, so next week we're also going to meet at 11 a.m. Central Time. We have people on all kinds of different time zones. We have a lot of people in California. We have people in London and Denmark, and so I have to kind of juggle that and also my other schedule. So we will be meeting tomorrow, next week again at 11 a.m. And next week we are doing spiritual practice and deities in Vedic astrology. So we'll be looking at the D20 chart and the D5 chart and the Ishtadevatas and how you look at spiritual practice from the 5th house in the chart. And then the 4th week, I did add an extra class. It is on February 1st. That will be at, and it's the astrology of moksha and enlightenment, and then I'll look at the moksha houses. So that's what's coming up. The Vedic Remedies class with Pandit Samavedala and Andrew Foss and myself starts at 3 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday, February 15th. And the focus is on, kind of mantras and remedies for finance, relationship, health, and career. It's a 5-week class. And I'll be sending out more material on that. My Dasha class, which is now divided into 2 parts, has a free preview class Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. So the first class, some of you have signed up for that already. The first actual class is next week because the preview class is an overview of the whole class. So if you want to sign up for that, I'll be sending out material on that. And if you missed the year ahead video, it's available to download for $15.95. Okay, and, sorry for the shameless plugs. I'm gonna unmute you in a second. Okay, let me unmute you all. So Affy, I unmuted you already. Catherine, I just unmuted you. Claudia, I think I had unmuted you already. Jessica, I'm unmuting you. I don't know if you know how the webinar works. I think you probably do. You just have to turn your green mic orange so that you don't have any sound in the background bleeding into the tape. Laura, I'm not seeing a mic here. Nicole, I have you registered as a panelist so that I think you can just unmute yourself at any time just because class before. Okay, so so let me begin. I have a third edition of the slideshow. There's enough material here for a 4-week class, and this is kind of an introduction to it. It's kind of something to think about it. We really sometime will have to do a 4-week class on it because it's quite an exhaustive topic. Like everything, the more you know, the more you don't know. Let me see if I can enlarge the slideshow view. Laura, can you hear that? Okay, so I can make it a little bit larger, but I like this size actually. Okay. I have to acknowledge all kinds of people, particularly I've done a lot of work studying chakras with Master Coach Chok Sui and Claudia Wadsworth, and a lot of material is connected to stuff that I studied when connecting to the astrology has been kind of more kind of an original exercise. That's why I said it's kind of work in progress. I've been kind of thinking about this for about 15 years, connecting chakras to the planets and the signs and the zodiac. It's like anything in Vedic astrology, it's kind of an exhaustive topic. And if you do research on it, you just won't find a lot of satisfying material on it. And I've been thinking about it for about 5 years now, and I finally kind of put this into this lesson. So it's still work in progress. I can continue to do definitive research, and it's particularly difficult because chakras are dealing with subtle energies and subtle bodies, and it's not something you can always kind of concretely test, although you can to some degree. Healing information that we're kind of dealing with. And I'm also thinking, for those of you who do know about chakras, it's kind of like, I'm just thinking this is like a graduate seminar where I'm hoping I can get your contributions and ideas based on your knowledge. Different systems of when people, from the research I have done, Sri Yudhiswar in the Holy Science talks about the signs, in the chakras, and so he connects the crown chakra to, after that connects to the beyond, to the transcendental realm, to the divine. And it doesn't really have any signs of the zodiac connected to it because it's connected to Ketu, really. It's like the beyond. It's the transcendental nature of the meditation. The third eye, called the Ajna chakra, which is located between the eyebrows, he connects it to Cancer and Leo, which would then connect it to Sun and Moon. I have to turn off my phone here. The Suddhi chakra, which is the throat chakra, is connected to Gemini Virgo, and that would then be to Mercury. The Ananta chakra, which is called the heart chakra, is connected to Venus, according to his system, and then Taurus and Libra. And the Manipurna chakra, or the solar plexus, located under the rib cage, is connected to Mars, Aries, and Scorpio. And the Swadhisthana chakra, connected to Jupiter, which is connected to Pisces and Sagittarius, is the the second chakra, or the navel chakra. Differentiations here, and then the Muladhara chakra is pretty definitive as the root chakra connected to Capricorn and Aquarius. So now, when you study, again, I've been studying a lot of this stuff for years, and one has to kind of look at it in a deeper level. So if we look at the zodiac as the body, if you looked at the second part of our slide presentation, which I will not present, it was just kind of appendix material. The energy in the root chakra flows up into Aquarius, into the front of the root chakra, and then it flows up into Pisces, which is the back of the second chakra, and then into Aries, the front of the third chakra. Again, I've got that spiral Kundalini energy going up. So it goes up into Aries, which is the front of the third chakra, and goes into the back of the heart chakra, which is Taurus, into the front of the throat chakra, which is Gemini, back up to the third eye, which is the moon in Cancer, into the front of the third eye, which is the sun in Leo, and down into the throat chakra, back into Virgo, and the back of the throat. Back into the back of the heart chakra, Leo, and the front of the second chakra, which is Sagittarius, and the back of the base chakra, back to Capricorn. Now, again, this is one theory, and I'm presenting this because I think we trying to come up with a definitive answer. I mean, I like this way of looking at it, but this is, again, it's much more complicated. The way chakras work, chakras are energy centers. Again, they're not physical places, bodies, subtle bodies, on the energy that's flowing through the system. So if the signs in your natal chart have strong, well-placed owners and good planets in them, then the chakras work well. And then bad aspects may kind of alter them and cause the chakras to be kind of misaligned or to not work well. So basically, we can look at the signs of the zodiac as representing the chakras and the flow of energy through the body, through the cosmic body, and then when they're afflicted, they work well. Those chakras may not work well, and so you can think of it this way. Now, Saturn very clearly connected to the base chakra, survival, interest in life, and you can get bad transits through the chakras. So okay, I have this kind of a little bit more detailed here. So the live in your natal chakras in a good or positive way. Let me just skip the rest of this because I have it better. Last week I talked about the radio tube analogy. We're born, and again, for those of you who are older, we used to have radio tubes in our TVs, and before we had transistors, and then we had everything is chips now. But you can either use bad radio tubes, bad chips, bad transistors. It's all kind of the same idea. Sometimes you buy a cheap computer and it's got a bad chip in it, so that's like if you're born with Saturn in Aries, your Saturn chip doesn't work very well, and when Saturn goes, so it's almost always weak, and anytime you're trying to deal with Saturn issues, they never quite function, even if Saturn is strong in transit in Libra. But if you have a strong chip because you spent $4,000 for a high-class computer, let's say your Saturn chip is exalted in Libra, even when Saturn is weak in transit in Aries or not doing well, your Saturn chip still works. So we can think of our planetary placements like that in our chart. Do we have good chips or bad chips, good tubes or bad tubes? And then, they're affected by transits and doshas that we run. So if you were born with Saturn in Aries, then the tube's not working very well. It's only got 25% ability to function. Your base chakra doesn't work very well. You deal with survival issues a lot. You have trouble manifesting money. You live in fear more because the energy is just not grounding you. If you're born with an exalted Libra Saturn tube, then you're grounded. Your Saturn is strong. You're able to manifest money easily, and your base chakra energies work. And we'll talk about what all that means. So when Saturn is weak, the darker qualities come out. Your base chakra isn't working very well. You have trouble with depression and survival and things like that. Everything in astrology is complicated. So we can say to physical chakras and their structures, but planets in the signs will give them strength or weakness. So for example, if you have Venus in Capricorn, which is a friend sign, it strengthens the base chakra. I have Saturn in Capricorn. I have a very strong base chakra because I've done a lot of chakra work and I've measured my chakras. And so I can see that with Saturn in, if you have you put Rahu or another malefic afflict and make that chakra not work as well. And we'll have some thoughts around that. So I'm also starting to think, and I added a new slide about Karaka values. When we learn Vedic astrology, we learn that every house is connected to a Karaka. So for example, the third house, which has a lot to do with protecting your boundaries and primal sexual energy. Most people talk about it as communication, but it's really a superficial way of talking about it. It's really about the primal mind. And the Karaka for the third house is Mars, and Mars is is about will. And we connect the third house to the solar plexus and the expression of wills. When your third house isn't is afflicted, probably there's a negative impact on your solar plexus and your ability to manifest in the world, or it manifests in a darker way. So it's just another kind of way of looking at things. Now, I won't do too much with a nakshatra connection to the chakras also. And it's often, I've discovered it in books on relationship compatibility, and they'll talk about how if people, there's a concept called Rajus, and we'll look at that at the end of the slideshow. I don't know if we'll even get to it, but nakshatras affect the mental level, and nakshatras are often used for compatibility, and so they do affect relationship energy. So if you don't connect with your partner chakras because of certain planetary combinations and nakshatra combinations, then your relationship doesn't work. And it's really kind of fascinating. But what I wanted to say is, it's very complex. This is why, like I said, we could have 5 or 6 lessons on this. And this is like my survey overview. Someday we'll do more. We also can think when chakras get afflicted, sometimes they don't spin properly, they get tilted, they get depleted quickly. We could think like retrograde planets probably kind of mess up our chakra spins, again, because I've done a lot of work with chakras and I can measure them, and I've done healing work with them, you can see, when people have certain kind of planetary afflictions, you can see how certain of their chakras aren't working. And the whole purpose of this is ultimately to add a new dimension, let me get, to understanding our cosmic body, and that goes back to the Kala Purusha, to the way the planets, we are the universe, we are the zodiac, the planets are moving through us, the energies are creating spins and karmas and things like that. And last week we went through Astro Yoga, which was the idea of like doing certain yoga postures to heal the chakras. And so I realized that we need to do a little bit more about chakras, because then you'll kind of see how you can use yoga to kind of correct planetary problems. Again, so this is all about kind of multidimensionality in terms of healing and understanding how astrology connects to the body, connects to the subtle bodies, and how the energy flows. When there are blocks in the planets, they affect the subtle planets, they affect the subtle bodies, And then when the subtle bodies are afflicted, then certain things don't manifest in our life and we have challenges. And so you can kind of, it's just another way of looking at this stuff. And it's only because I had taken so many classes on chakras that I've kind of really just been fascinated by it. Okay, Judy, I'm going to unmute you so you can mute yourself. And Julie, also, you're here, and I'm going to mute you also. Okay, so so this is kind of my overview, and all this stuff is kind of, I'm going to put the cookbook here at the beginning, just kind of, it's an overview of how we kind of look at chakras in astrology and how we can diagnose them. And then we'll have to come back to it. I just wanted to give you this cookbook first. So we said the signs of the zodiac are the chakras. So Capricorn, Aquarius are the base chakra, that kind of thing. So we just went through that. Do the chakras function well because there are positive planets in them or there are malefics in them? So, you know, as soon as you have, like you put Venus in Capricorn, it's in a friend sign. Venus does support the base chakra, and you can understand that. And so, you know, that's kind of a positive way of looking at it. You put Mars in Cancer, it kind of afflicts the third eye and creates too much kind of energy and anger in that center. So you can kind of, you know, you can kind of play with exalted and debilitated planets and see how that works. Does the chakra, if the chakras are connected to the signs, you know, so again, everything in Vedic astrology we study is their dignity. If the owner of the chakra is exalted or in its own sign, then that chakra functions well. If the owner of that chakra is weak, then that chakra doesn't function well. If there are bad aspects to that, and it may be, or to the owner, then it's afflicted. This is kind of basic astrology. What aspects are there to the chakra houses? So again, we have to use both types of aspects, but you know, aspects will color, you know, whether our radio tubes are working or whether they're not. So then we have to look at, do the positive or negative qualities of the chakra manifest? And you can kind of tell this. There's a lot of material in this about the chakras, and you can call Wadsworth and things like that. You can see when this chakra isn't, even though if you can't, most of us don't know how to look at chakras, but you can tell about what's manifesting in somebody's life, and then you can see how it's working. Do the positive or negative qualities of the health issues manifest? So this is just all, you know, I've always been interested in kind of multi-dimensional level of it. And obviously there are other things, you know, obviously we have to look at, we'll have to look at the house influences, which is still work in progress for me. And then we talked about how yoga postures could be used to kind of strengthen the chakras. There are mantras for each of the chakras to do also. I mean, this is my kind of overview. Okay, so that was my introduction, and that took about 20 minutes. Again, this is okay, so we're still having trouble with the internet. I'm so sorry. Are other people? I can switch to my other computer, but I have the slideshow on this computer, and I have your charts on this computer. So I can switch to the other computer, and I think the other computer does not have as many problems with the sound. And I can't do anything about the, okay, let me get a, okay, so here's what we can do, because the sound quality is important. I may switch to my other computer. Is I'll have to keep the slides. You'll have to. I won't be able to. Oh, I may be able to get the slides up. So if I switch computers, it's going to take, you know, some time for me to kind of download and upload. Let me ask, is anybody done Affy? Julie, is the sound okay?
It's okay, but it's just a little distracting because your voice freezes up pretty regularly.
My voice freezes up.
Yes, everything freezes for 3 or 4 seconds, and then your conversation continues, and then it freezes up again.
Okay, so what I can do is I can run the class from hotspot, and because I'm trying to diagnose whether. So so what that I'm gonna you can all stay online. I'm gonna have to kind of switch the internet to hotspot, and then it may require me to go back to go to webinar and sign on again. But you can stay on. So I've done that one time before. We've had to run the class from hotspot. We've had the internet people over here forever, and they never quite fix it. Okay, let's see. So it's going to take me a minute or two, but that's going to be the best solution. Okay. Let's see if I can find hotspot. I have a new phone, so I've got to search for. I'm sorry, I couldn't is better because of the ice storm. So do you have? Does anybody want to share anything while I'm setting this up? It's going to take me a few minutes. Any interest in chakras? Could do tethering, but I don't know how to do that. Okay, okay, so I'm going to have to kind of bot, and so that's going to have to log off. So again, all of you just stay on because I'm just going to log off and come back on again. So I'm going to end the webinar, which is not what I want to do because it messes up the videotape, but I don't have a choice. Let me see if I can just switch it. Okay, it did switch to, Okay, it looks like I was able to get on mobile hotspot. So let me, I am running on mobile hotspot now. So let me know how's the sound now, Laura. Is it going in and out?
We'll have to wait for a minute to see.
Okay,
But
so
I
keep
usually
me
do
posted. It's interesting, I was able to kind of switch it. I'm surprised that I was able to switch it while I was in the middle of it. Let me see if it's still recording. Well, you're still all there, so I'm assuming it just kind of, it's interesting, technology has changed. Okay, so now there are different systems of chakras. At the beginning of the presentation, there's 7 major chakras. If you study with most of the chakra teachers, there are a lot of other chakras, and some of them are actually also major enough that they shouldn't be ignored. Some people talk about 5 chakras and connect them to the 5 elements. I don't like that system. Master Choa, who I studied chakras with, really talked about 11 major chakras. I tend to go with those because I've just worked with them physically and etherically. And then there are some other ways of looking at these things. But I'm going to present this so because to me there's always been a problem because there are multiple. It's not as cut and dry. So let me talk about. So the base chakra, no qualms about it. Saturn, Capricorn, very, very, very clear. Last week we talked about the sex chakra, which is located in the sacrum area, in the pubic area, and it's very different from the navel chakra, which is located in the back of, over the navel. And those are 2 separate chakras, and they have to be talked about that way. The sex chakra is very connected to Venus and Taurus and Libra, and obviously, but reproduction is also connected to Jupiter and creativity. And to me, and so there are a number of teachers that talk about the navel chakra. So the sex chakra and the navel chakra in some systems kind of come together, but it's Venus and Jupiter. But I tend to like to separate the navel chakra into being Jupiter, which is the place where the belly gets big, where we have generosity, or we hold on to things and we have greed and we get heavy. The sex chakra, is obviously a center of creativity, artistic creativity, or procreativity. So I differentiate the 2 of them. There are minor chakras. The back spleen chakra is connected to Saturn because Saturn governs the spleen. We're not going to talk about it very much. The solar plexus is obviously located under the rib cage. It's connected to Mars and the Sun very clearly, and sign-wise is connected to Aries and Scorpio. And there's no kind of doubt about the solar plexus. You can't ignore it. Laura, how's the sound? Is it better? Okay, is anybody there? Okay, let's look at
Hi, Barry. Still here.
Yeah, how's the sound? Is it better?
Yeah, I think it's good now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Laura, how's the sound? Affy, how's the sound? Let me unmute you. Affy, how's the sound? You had problems?
Yeah, the sounds seems good right now.
Okay,
Much
so
better.
I'm using my hotspot. I'm using my blog mic, so we just have to do that when we have bad weather. Okay. Okay, so let's continue. So now we'll just assume we have no technology problems. Claudia had a quick question. Okay, Claudia says it's much better. Okay, so we solved the technology problems. Yay, Rahu. Okay, great. So the solar plexus, again, very clearly connected to Mars and the Sun. It's under the rib cage. The heart chakra, traditionally it's connected to Taurus and Libra. We think of Venus and love, but I have problems with the heart chakra just being connected to Venus. It's also connected to the moon. And I kind of personally feel there's a lot of other energies going through there, but and then the throat chakra, which is and obviously over in the throat is everybody says it's connected to Mercury and to Virgo and Gemini. As I said last week, I really think Jupiter is an important part of the throat chakra, and I've kind of added that. The Ajna chakra is the third eye. It's located between the eyebrows, and last week I talked about it a little bit being Mars energy, because it's center for will, and I am doing a lot more research and really thinking about it more deeply. It's very connected to Cancer and Leo in terms of the signs of the zodiac, and that definitely connects it to Sun, Moon. And if you think about pranayamas, the top of when we do pranayamas, if you all know alternate nostril pranayamas, it's very connected to, starting your pranayamas, alternating between the two nostrils. It connects you to the third eye automatically. So we talked about last week how the solar and lunar energies runs up the whole spine and kind of centers in the Ajna chakra, and I'm kind of more definitively feeling better about that. And I think when anger comes up in the Ajna chakra, which is the seat of anger, it's solar energy. For the longest time I was thinking, okay, it's Mars, it's the seat of will, but it's solar energy when we get angry and blocked in the third eye, and we do get angry in the third eye for sure. Now the brow chakra, this is where we get this differentiation. The brow chakra is in the forehead, and so most people just talk about the third eye. Master Choa talks about the forehead chakra, which is the brow chakra, which is definitely connected to Moon and the Cancer. It's the place of higher wisdom. It's the queen and stuff. And then the crown chakra, which I last week connected to the sun, is, the sun is the divine energy, but is also Ketu. And I was, realizing, Ketu is the seat of meditation. And it's very interesting. Ketu is also at the base of the spine. And I'll talk about that in a minute, because Ketu is connected to Ganesh, and the trunk of Ganesh, which was a mythological emblem of Ketu, is very connected to the spine, and the seat of the spine is, where Ketu and Ganesh are located at the seat of the spine. A lot of yoga practices, are centered at the seat of the spine. It's because the Ketu energy starts there and it goes up and out the crown chakra, into deep meditation, into the divine. So this is my kind of refinement, but I think it's a lot of people talk about 7 chakras. You have to kind of the big difference is that you have to look at the separate, create the sex chakra and the navel chakra as maybe two parts of the second chakra, and that the Ajna chakra, which is really kind of 2 chakras, because it's the forehead chakra and the Ajna chakra, and so that's and then there are a lot of other kind of minor chakras, but we're not going to go into those in this class. Okay, so that's that. Now, chakras and planets. Now, it's interesting because when you look at the places of exaltation of the planets, it also kind of helps you understand how the energies are reacting with the chakra. Now, Mars exalts in Capricorn in the root chakra because it's, and Mars is like I am. It's, it's just, that the ego aspect, it's who. Mars gives us drive and motivation when we're clearly grounded in our own reality and accept our past. So there's nothing holding us back, and we're living fully in the present moment. So Mars, Mars exalts in Capricorn because it grounds us, and it does really well in Capricorn because, it just, it connects us to kind of, Capricorn again is the business sign of the zodiac. It's the base chakra. If we have a weak Capricorn or if we have a weak Saturn, then our ability to manifest money, our survival energy, our fear levels are challenged. But when Mars is exalted in Capricorn, you see why now. It's like giving us the courage to go into the world and create great things. And when you see people Mars in Capricorn, I mean, they're very good at, particularly Dhanishta Nakshatra, they're very good at manifesting money, and they're very successful usually. Again, we can't say that totally for everybody, but again, some Mars exalts in the crown, in the base chakra. Now, you could have an agitated Mars in Capricorn, in which case, the darker qualities might come out. And again, this is why we always, we could have a lot of negative aspects to Mars and Capricorn, and then the darker aspects of guilt, shame, fear, insecurity, and frustration would come out. Venus. So Venus, we said, was very connected to the second chakra, and the key message is, I feel Venus is the planet of worldly pleasures. When we're balanced, we feel free to enjoy the pleasures of life and the world spontaneously. Venus is the sex center. Obviously, we enjoy sexual and creative energy. We talked about last week that when the energy is going up, it's creative energy for artistic creativity. When the energy is going down, which is not bad, it's it's for producing babies. It's procreativity. And so Venus, the world has this whole problem with an overactive Venus. Venus, if you've heard my lecture on addiction, it's very connected to all kinds of addiction, and including sexual addiction. So it's a lower energy, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's very important, but when it's not flowing right, it gets afflicted. The sun relates to our solar plexus, also Mars. Again, the solar plexus is all about I do. It's about moving our will forward. It's about power. It's about moving forward with energy and vitality. So when we have a strong Mars and a strong Sun, when Aries and Libra and Scorpio are particularly strong and have good aspects to them, then we're confident, optimistic. We can digest life. We can move forward fully. We can create and manifest our existence. When the Sun and Mars and the solar plexus and Aries and Scorpio are afflicted, then we get imbalances in ego. We know the problems with the Sun and Mars are always like boastful ego, or problems with ego, and people always dislike them. The Moon is I like to say it's related to the chakra, the heart chakra, and also to Venus. Again, Moon exalts in Taurus, and we said Taurus is the seat of Venus, and the second Venus is the seat of the second chakra, actually, the heart chakra, actually. So Moon exalts in Venus. So that's why I think I can't really separate the Moon from the heart chakra. And then it's also thought that that the energy from the brow chakra, higher wisdom, kind of flows into the heart chakra, and creates this kind of intuition. And if those of you know about intuition, it often comes from that feeling level in the heart. And so there has to be a connection between the brow chakra and the heart chakra. And that's why I think the Moon's very important there. So when the Moon is strong, when it's exalted in Taurus, then we have strong intuition, we have strong ability to love. And Moon and Venus are this, Venus doesn't really like the Moon, but Moon likes Venus. And there are Raj Yoga and Jaimini astrology for producing money. But Moon and Venus, I think, are very connected for obviously love and nurturing, and in the heart chakra, and very kind of basic. Mercury relates to the fifth chakra of communication and our expression. I speak when we can honestly speak freely, and we express our creativity. Our Mercury is balanced and working, and that comes out through Gemini, in the positive realm. And I think Jupiter, from all the people that I've studied, Jupiter seems to be very important in the throat chakra too. It's kind of a higher energy. Speaking wisdom, is very important. Gratitude comes out of the throat when we choke up in grief. Jupiter is kind of afflicted there in the throat chakra. The third eye, again, is Sun and the Moon, Cancer and Leo. I was thinking, I'm going to kind of get rid of this idea of expression of will. I always think of the warrior energy is connected to the third eye, and it is, but I think it's more the sun warrior energy. And when it's afflicted, we get anger in the third eye, and that's why we get anger in the third eye, which is very important. And then we get intuition in the brow chakra, as I was explaining. And then K2 kind of relates to the crown chakra and also to the sun. The divine sun energy kind of pours through the crown chakra. And K2, when the energy is going up fully from the base of the shine, where K2 begins with the trunk of Ganesh, to the base of to the crown chakra on top, then the energy merges with the divine. And so K2 kind of runs through the whole system on that level. Okay. So sound is still good, Effie?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we solved the problem. The problem is, again, it was, okay. So if I have to work from home because of the ice, we're going to have to use our mobile hotspot. Okay. So here's another way of looking at this material. The root chakra is about our primal needs in life: survival, food, and shelter. That's Saturn. When Saturn's strong, we manifest money. We have a strong ability to create a roof over our head. When you find people with weak Saturn in Aries, even Saturn in Scorpio is not so great. You find that they have problems with existence and survival. And so again, and this is this because you want Saturn in Capricorn, which everybody is going to have now in transit. You want Saturn in Libra, and there are other places that we really like Saturn, Taurus, of course, but we don't want Saturn in Aries or Scorpio, particularly where it's going to be much more problematic. So we can unfold the root chakra by staying grounded, by living simply, working through our fears of poverty, structure, rules, and obligations. Again, so I always told you the rule of the remedy for Saturn is meditation, yoga, and exercise. Saturn does really well. It wants routine, it wants regularity in living, it wants to stay grounded, it wants us to be in our body. And I find I live in a community where a lot of people have been meditating for 40 years and they have very developed higher chakras, but their base chakra doesn't work very well and they can't keep money in the bank, they can't make money, they're living on the edge. And so a lot of my teachers have always recommended that we have to build, there's nothing wrong with Saturn or our base chakra, because if we don't have a solid infrastructure financially, then we can't support the higher chakras and move forward. The second chakra, sometimes called the water chakra, because Venus is a water planet. I think Venus and Jupiter are here, and again I separated it into navel and sex chakra, because most people just lump that together as the second chakra, but they're really kind of two separate energies. And again, it's a place where we produce children through procreativity. What is Jupiter? Jupiter's children. It's a place of creativity. It's a place of moving out of our survival needs and into creative energy. Again, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the core level, which is the base chakra, is Saturn. It's survival, and then once we move into the second chakra, it's creativity and procreativity, and it's very kind of basic energy. So both Venus and Jupiter are highly benefic planets, and their dashas periods always create a lot of abundance and generosity. And but when the signs and the planets connected to the base chakra, to the second chakra, are afflicted, then we get too much pleasure, we get sexual addiction, we get inability to use discipline in our emotional urges, and then it creates kind of problems in our life. I mean, third chakra, Mars, called the Manipurna chakra. The fire element, of course, is here. I think obviously we can't ignore the sun here. The sun obviously is very important in the solar plexus, as is Mars. It's a planet of action and danger and strength. And again, it's where we kind of move forward and show our independence and fearlessness and take risks to exert our power. Fourth chakra, the Ananta chakra, again, it's a water chakra connected to Venus and Moon. Again, where we harness our ability to love and place a feeling of nurturing and all those things. And we know all these things: compassion, empathy, forgiveness. Fifth chakra, the air element is present there, connected to Mercury, and the ether element to Jupiter. Again, I definitely feel like Mercury and Jupiter are very connected to that area. That's a place where we connect to the thyroid gland, to respiratory system, to the larynx, where we communicate issues and put things into words, where we have to speak up and we express truth. Again, Mercury and Jupiter are the Sophic planets because they're both connected to knowledge. Mercury maybe to lower knowledge and Jupiter to higher wisdom. But ultimately we want to move Mercury toward Jupiter, toward the higher wisdom and expressing higher wisdom in life, not getting caught up in gossip, which is what happens with Gemini sometimes when it's afflicted. When Mercury is afflicted, it likes to gossip. The sixth chakra, the Ajna chakra, is again connected to the sun and the moon, Cancer and Leo. It's a command center for the inner eye. We do pranayama. It balances out the pineal gland, the pituitary gland. It connects us to the higher brain. So the sun and the moon are very connected to the higher brain. And again, it allows us the sun allows us vision and clarity to discern and to perceive. It's like 4 degrees here today. It's like I have to put on my booties to stay warm. When we focus on the Ajna chakra, we have discernment and clarity and perception in the world and moving up into the higher realms of spirituality. The seventh chakra, thousand petal lotus, like I said, I always like to connect it to the sun, which is why last week we learned the tree pose, which I think is like opening up the energy from the sun to let it in. But it's also K2, because ultimately it's through meditation and K2 that we let in the divine energy and can transcend the world and all the chakras and all the craziness. Okay. Chakras and signs. Again, we talked about this a little bit. I'm trying to give you these basics and it gets kind of complicated. So Capricorn governs our stability to move forth in life. Aquarius is the expression of that also. It's the Muladhara chakra. Pisces governs creative energy, and Sagittarius is the manifestation of that. I'm going to skip the system. I'm not really happy with this. Now, I'm still working on houses because I think, when we learn Vedic astrology, if your Aries rising, then your houses and your signs kind of go together. You don't have to, you can always kind of put them together. But, when you're not Aries rising, we always have to kind of bring in houses. And there I'm still kind of, I have some better ideas how to integrate houses and chakras. The slides that I sent you, I'm not sure, I found them in my research. I'm not sure I'm really happy with them. I developed a new set this morning when I was thinking about it more deeply. When I put it up here, this is the new slide in the 3rd edition, Karakas, houses and chakras. So the first, what I was realizing, when you learn Vedic astrology, you memorize the Karakas for the houses. We did that in the Secret of the Houses class. So we know the Karaka is kind of the core value of that house. And we always have to remember to look at the Karakas and the core value. So to me, the core value of the first house, it's this, the Karaka for the first house is the sun. So to me, that's kind of like the crown chakra, and sun exalts in Aries in the first house, debilitated in the 7th house, where we get too kind of much sexual energy. So you don't want sun in Libra or sun in the 7th house. Sun also represents sunset. And so you can kind of see how sun, there's a Karaka for the first house. It needs, and when it's, when you meet people with sun in Aries, I mean, they have just really, they're very connected to the divine. They're very connected to their crown chakra. They just kind of radiate a lot of being. A lot of, I think, ascended masters have that. So I feel like when the sun's exalted and when the crown chakra is fully blossoming, we get this strong kind of first house energy, which is where we need to go. The second house, Karaka, is Jupiter, but connected to the navel chakra. And again, Jupiter exalts in Cancer, which is exalts in the heart. Cancer, well, put it this way, no, Jupiter doesn't exalt in the heart area. Jupiter exalts in the brow chakra. Remember, we said the brow chakra is connected to the sign of Cancer, and it's kind of our higher intuition. It's, you know, it's the queen. You know, the sun is the king. It's the crown chakra. The moon is the queen. It's the brown chakra. It's our higher intuition. Jupiter exalts in Cancer in the brow chakra, and it debilitates in the root chakra. Now, Jupiter in Capricorn is not bad. It's good for business. It's good for manifesting money. It loses its ethical value there. Jupiter always has to be ethical, and in Capricorn it gets pulled down by Saturn. Jupiter exalts in so in Capricorn it loses its wisdom. It gets caught up in material things. It will manifest money. Jupiter is good in Capricorn for manifesting money. Again, it's a benefic in the base chakra. So it's Jupiter. And people get this wrong. Debilitated Jupiter doesn't, it's actually, Jupiter's always good. It's good for manifesting money in Capricorn, but it's not good for its archetypal value, which is wisdom. The third house, the karaka for the third house is Mars. Mars is the solar plexus. And, you know, the problem when Mars gets afflicted is, you know, people with a strong will, they get violent, they get sexually predatory. And that's the problem with, actually, you don't really want Mars in the third house, even though it's the karaka for the third house, you don't want it there. Mars exalts in the base chakra, but it debilitates in the heart chakra. So it's going to, it debilitates in the brow chakra. I just had that kind of change here, I'm sorry. So when we get angry, you know, when Mars is afflicted, you know, we get these headaches and we get this anger in our head, and that's because it's kind of like Mars is out of balance there. Fourth house is the karaka for the fourth house is the moon, the heart chakra. The moon exalts in Taurus. Anyway, some of this is I don't want to get too complicated with this, but I just wanted to show you. There's a connection between where planets exalt and the chakras, and I need to kind of flesh this out in a long article that will probably take me 2 or 3 hours to write. I was just cognizing this morning, but I wanted you to, what I realized is that the house karakas really tell us the most about the chakras and the expression, you know, and even the 12th house, which is the place of moksha. It's, you know, the highest realm of Saturn is to kind of take away everything and to bring us to moksha. And Saturn is a very spiritual planet in that respect. And in a sense, I was kind of thinking about, I was thinking about Jupiter in the 11th house, group soul activity and things like that. But anyway, still kind of, I said, at the beginning of the lesson, I said we have some work in progress on this. Some of it is very clear and some of it is still work in progress. You know, the sun and the moon are the 2 petals of the third eye center, and that's why they activate the male and female energies that flow through our nostrils, through the Ida and Pingala energy. So all these, if you study yoga, you learn about the solar and the lunar energies moving up and down the chakras, and sometimes we have too much solar energy, sometimes we have too much lunar energy, and that's because the sun and the moon, Cancer and Leo, are located in the Ajna center. And we do pranayamas to kind of balance those out. And Cancer and Leo show the 2 centers of emotion and reason. So there are different kind of, actually, I don't want to, I've got some more information on houses here. I'm not going to do houses because it's pretty complicated. We went through this already. I want to talk a little bit more about chakras. I also want to take a break. This is very abstract. And this is, I don't want to lose anybody, and so I want to take questions here. Are you finding this interesting to kind of think about it this way? Do you have any questions or comments? I think most of you are unmuted. Claudia, I just unmuted you. Jessica, Julie is usually on her cell phone. Nicole. Laura disappeared. Okay, any questions? Again, as I mentioned, with anything in Vedic astrology, this is the first time you're hearing some of this. You have to go back and listen to it again. You have to think about it and integrate it. So there's a lot of deep knowledge here. And like I said, this could be a 4-week class. I'm kind of doing an overview just because I've been wanting to do this for like 5 years. Okay, any thoughts? Okay. Now, for those of you who have studied chakras, chakra energies get blocked. And it's kind of like when you get afflicted planets or afflicted signs. And if people who can clairvoyantly see chakras or feel them, sometimes the spin may slow down. So it's almost like a debilitated planet. Sometimes the energy, it's just the planet isn't able to get the chakra to spin fast enough. Or malefics affect the chakra and they prevent it from spinning fully, and then the energy doesn't function. The way this kind of can work, let's say if Mars is like very connected to the solar plexus and to creating energy. It's very connected to the adrenals. And if you have an afflicted Mars in your chart, maybe Mars is retrograde, maybe Mars is in the sign of Cancer, maybe Mars is aspected by Saturn or Rahu or something like that, it kind of distorts the third chakra, and it distorts your energy level. Your energy may be imbalanced, or you may have low energy. I mean, basically, people with Mars and Cancer usually suffer from adrenal problems. If you measure their third chakra, they're usually kind of smaller or weaker, or it's spinning wrong. So sometimes chakras can be tipped in one direction and out of balance. Sometimes they may be shut down. Now, so you get times when chakras are shut down, and then people I find this even with the base chakra. People are having financial problems. You measure their base chakra, it's just not functioning very well. There's no energy there, and I tell people to do deep knee bends or do the chair pose. It increases the base chakra, increases the Saturn energy, increases the survival energy, and moves it more toward manifesting. So sometimes chakras are shut down when you have, in people that have no spirituality, you find that maybe their lower chakras are very developed. The lower chakras, sometimes they're good about money and forcing themselves and things like that, but they may not have a heart. They may not be compassionate. They may not be involved in wisdom, and they may not be involved in spirituality, and their upper chakras are not very developed. And sometimes you get people who meditate all the time and their higher chakras are very developed, but they have problems with their lower chakras. So you get these kind of imbalances. One of the things that can happen with chakras, which people don't ever teach you, is that chakras can be torn. So there's these protective people who are clairvoyant. They can see this protective webbing over the chakras, and that webbing kind of protects the chakra. And what happens is people who do drugs and alcohol and tobacco, so it's like Rahu kind of like can really kind of destroy the chakras. When the chakras get destroyed, there's a lot of like mental and astral energy that kind of flows into the mental bodies and disturbs it. So, for example, most people know that people who do a lot of marijuana, they get really paranoid. They get a lot of fear coming up, and that's because even drugs like marijuana, which may have medical effects and help people with pain and things like that, it does create holes in the chakras, and then these kind of lower energies kind of come up. And people who do these drug trips and they get all these kind of mental disturbances, it's because the chakras get the chakra webs get torn. So if you see people with Rahu causes mental disturbances on the subtle bodies. And so when Rahu, if people get involved in drug and alcohol and get involved in negative energies and the chakras get torn, then they're subject to all kinds of mental noise that creates craziness, and you can see this in people's charts. sometimes chakras get depleted and they can't be recharged, and that's kind of like maybe, I mean, people get exhausted. It's like, you know, you put Venus in an enemy sign like Scorpio, and people may be very sexual oriented, but then their second chakra gets very depleted and they have no energy for creativity, or they're tired all the time. You know, if you if you're oversexed, you know, there are people that are sex addicts, they have to have sex 2 or 3 times a day, or just, they're always looking at pornography. The energy gets very depleted and they get exhausted. So that can happen too. And then you get, sometimes chakras don't flow and vibrate properly. Okay. So what happens when chakras are blocked? Then you can see this, people get weird weird addictions and things like that. Addictions will come up. If chakras are blocked, then people are they make, if energy can't flow, again, ideally, energy flows from the base chakra up to the crown chakra and it creates bliss. Now, if the energy is blocked and it can't flow up, they're not meditation, they're having too much sex, they're into drugs and they're into addictions, then the energy gets kind of blocked in lower extension, the lower chakras, and people get impatient, angry, and violent. They get into sexual addictions and sexual predatory energies. They'll reject people, they become jittery and fidgety. Ultimately, the remedy is always to get people into yoga and meditation and do pranayamas. You have to get the energies moving up and into spiritual initiation. The energy stays too low in the lower chakras, then they get into excessive talking, workaholism, adrenal rushes, and they get into problems. So let's look at the crown chakra. Some of this stuff, again, I have over 100 slides here. I'm not going to get through them all, but you can read through them. I was trying to get through the general principles, and then we'll see if we can look at some charts and see how we can diagnose chakra problems in charts and what we can do about it with healing it. So the crown chakra is connected to the central nervous system, to the pineal gland and the cerebral cortex. The crown chakra is where the divine energy comes into the system. Again, when the crown, sometimes you get people that have blocked crown chakras. They have a debilitated sun. They have no energy in their head. They have a weak K2, like K2 in Taurus or something like that. They're just not connected to their divine energies. Then what happens is life is uninspiring, confused, disconnected from the divine. There's a lot of suffering. When people aren't connected to the divine, maybe they're an atheist. Maybe they're separated from the wholeness. Now, they may have a lot of money. Their lower chakras may be very developed, but they have no upper chakra development, and they're disconnected from the divine, and life feels meaningless. And so you can also think of combinations like Sun in Libra, Sun in the 12th house, where it gets really kind of blocked, Sun in the 8th house, Sun in the 7th house. Those are places where you could diagnose maybe there's a lot of weak crown energy, and you've got to get them doing like the tree pose that we learned last week in yoga. Part of problems with the crown chakra can lead to exhaustion. When the crown is working really well, we have bliss. We have the bliss in meditation. When the crown's not working well, we just, we're exhausted and we're not connected. Crown chakra can be impacted from head injuries, from drugs or head traumas. I mean, my brother, when I was younger, pushed me down the stairs into the basement. I fell on my head and they took me to the hospital, and it damaged my head when you're 4, and I'm sure it afflicted my crown chakra back then, and it made me all kind of dyslexic. But the cranial bones are very connected to the crown chakra. Sometimes when you have people have crown chakra problems, you need cranial sacral therapies to kind of heal them. When the crown chakra is balanced, and we meditate a lot, we're connected to our higher self, we're connected to the divine. There's there's a desire to want to do selfless service and for divine wisdom to flow. We're serene and compassionate. Again, you think of Sun in Aries, you always get these great saints with suns in Aries, if it's in the right houses, where they just have all this kind of magnanimous energy. Sometimes there are healing energies for the crown chakra can involve, obviously meditation is always the best one. Sometimes amethyst light will help. Being in silence will increase the crown chakra. Violet light, there are all kinds of healing modalities. Now the astrology of the crown chakra, we said, is connected to the sun and Ketu. And I'm starting to think like Pisces because it's the 12th sign of the zodiac. Basically when we're flowing into the natural signs of the zodiac, somehow must be connected to the chakras too. And I'm starting just to think about this a little bit more. But Pisces is obviously a place for kind of the crown chakra because it's where we connect to the divine. And Pisces people are very spaced out because they're so connected to kind of that they're always in touch with that spiritual divine energy. Put Sun in Capricorn or Aquarius, again, it's too earthy. I mean, Sun in Aquarius is good for business, but it's not good for spirituality. Sun in Aquarius, 7 houses away from Leo, it's not very happy. Sun in Taurus or Libra may be too sexual. Put Sun in the natural 2nd house or the 7th house. 2 loses its divine energy. The problem with Sun in Libra is just too sexual. It loses its connection to its divine center. Sun in the 12th house, Sun's the crown energy needs to be more in the head, moving up into the divine, not in the feet, which would be kind of like the 12th house, which one the Karka. Sun in the 7th house, also a bad place for divine energy. If you have Ketu in Pisces, Scorpio, or Sagittarius, you have a positive crown chakra because that's where Ketu does best. And these people are often inclined toward meditation because of that placement. Now the brow chakra, which I separated from the third eye, and again, it sometimes overlaps in some systems. It's the center of the forehead. It controls the pineal gland and the nervous system. It's connected to the lower Buddhic or consciousness of the moon. Again, the sun and the moon are always the 2 most important planets in the chart because they represent our connections to the higher realm, the higher consciousness, the higher intuition, the higher female aspect of the divine, the Shakti energy, and the sun to the Shiva energy, to the higher wisdom of the divine. And again, the brow chakra is connected to the sign of Cancer. When the brow chakra is working, there's a focus on spiritual practice, philosophical truths, intuition, mystical insight. So we need a strong moon and an unafflicted moon, and we need the sign of Cancer to be unafflicted for people to have this higher spirituality. And there are a lot of places where the moon can do well, but you want, you can put Jupiter in Cancer, then you get a very spiritual person. You get a person with higher intuition. You think even Venus in Cancer being it's not an ideal placement, but it's still kind of higher energy. Sun in Cancer too, again, is kind of creating a strong connection between moon and sun in the brow and the brow and the crown chakras, and then mystical insights, hot meditation, all can blossom. There's better judgment. There's seeing the limitless potential of energies. So we like moon in Taurus, moon in Cancer, moon in Pisces, moon connected to the 9th house. Moon in Scorpio puts the moon in the back solar plexus where the energy is going down. It gets kind of angry and kind of caught, and the energy is going down. The brow chakra is connected to the moon where the energy is up. You don't want the moon aspected by Saturn, Mars, or Rahu because then it blocks some of that moon energy, that brow chakra energy. Remedies for the brow chakra, again, meditation, stargazing, lapis lazuli. There's all kinds of sounds for the chakras. I'm not going to teach them. It's too complicated. Third eye. Third eye is located in the center of the forehead between the eyebrows. connected to the pituitary gland, the nervous system, the central nervous system. Again, we said it's connected to Cancer, Leo, the sun and the moon. It energizes the pituitary gland, and it controls all the major chakras in the endocrine system, and affects the vital organs. It can create diseases of the endocrine system, eye elements, and even cancer when it's out of balance. When the Ajna chakra, the third eye, is afflicted, again, that can be afflictions to the sun and the moon, to Cancer, Leo. There's lacking concentration, there's confusion, arrogance, strong will, forcefulness, disconnection from the source, loss of touch with reality, impaired vision, confusion, and forgetfulness. Don't forget the sun and the moon are very connected to the eyes, of course. And when you get eye ailments, often you get, sun in the 12th house, sometimes you'll have problems with it. All kind of ways of looking at this, but you can I just wanted to show you the connections here, the way vision is impaired when the sun and the moon and that third eye are impaired. If you have problems in the third eye, there's lack of radiance, there are headaches, tensions in the neck, teeth grinding, nightmares. These are the kind of things that Rahu causes. Put Rahu in Leo or Rahu in Cancer. They're probably kind of afflicting the third eye a little bit too much. Unless there's a lot of strength there. You can have traumas, obviously if you had whiplash and hit your head, that could affect your brow chakra and create an injury for the third eye. PTSD, violence, shocking events, accidents can also impact the third eye and create all kinds of problems. Remedies for the third eye usually are alternate nostril pranayama. Most of you have studied that in yoga classes. Very powerful. I'm always shocked, when I take classes, when you need to calm the third eye, you do the alternate nostril pranayama. If you don't know that, I'm sure you can find a videotape on YouTube or learn it at a yoga studio, but you can take 5 minutes and it calms the whole system. It moves the sun, the moon, the solar and lunar energies, even up through all the chakras, and it balances it. So it's very important as a remedy. Okay, throat chakra, located at the center of the throat, controls and energizes the throat, the voice box, the air tube, the thyroid glands. I've got gland band here. The parathyroid gland, the lymphatic system, also connected to the sex chakra. Now, there's a big, this is kind of fascinating, and I've always known this, but there's a connection between the throat chakra and the sex chakra, and that's, the second chakra, and you can see that in between the second and the 8th houses, kind of, it's kind of when the second house in Vedic astrology is voice and speech, and the 8th house is one of the very sexual houses. So you can kind of see how there's a connection between, the throat chakra and the sex chakra, just even looking at the signs of this in the houses. So when you have problems in the throat chakra, when your throat chakra is blocked, you may have a tendency for sore throats, loss of voice, and asthma, which I'm having now from speaking too fast. You can have problems with speaking. Let's see. So when you have afflictions to the throat chakra, sometimes creativity is blocked. Again, that's kind of depression can happen. You can feel boxed in. You might talk excessively. You might not speak up for yourself. You may, that might be blocked. You might be controlling others with words. You may be shy, quiet, withdrawn, and holding back your inner self. You may resist new beginnings, and you may run away from the void of creative possibilities. There could be problems with stuttering, physical problems, thyroid problems, neck problems. So these are all connected to the throat chakra. So This can happen if Mercury, translate this into astrology, Mercury is afflicted in the chart, Gemini and Virgo are afflicted in the chart, you get problems, speech, stuttering, voice tightness, thyroid problems. Emotional, you can get depression. And throat chakra problems can be caused by neck traumas like accidents or operations. I have Rahu in my second house, which is the, let's just look at that here. Some of the examples I have to do are really kind of related to me because I understand all my systems. It's going to be hard for me. I'll see if I'll look at your charts, but it's going to be hard for me. I can diagnose certain things, but it's kind of interesting.
Hi, Barry. Say, can you pull up the North Indian as well, please?
Okay, thank you. I have a page for that. Let's see where it went.
Thank you.
I'll put it up for you, Claudia. It's very funny. I've actually, let's see. Again, I'm gonna have to put. Meals. Okay, it worked. Okay, good. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So so here's my chart again. Scorpio rising. I have Rahu in the second house here. Again, I said the second house is kind of connected to the throat and to speech, and I've had parathyroid problems. I've had my tonsils out. I've had all kinds of neck injuries, and you can just see how Rahu aspect, in the second house is affecting, that center, but it's obviously affecting my speech center. Also, I had stuttering problems when I was young, and Mercury is Lord of my 8th house here. It's the dispositor Saturn is in the 12th house here. So my throat chakra is again, this is very sophisticated. I mean, we're looking at the second house. We're looking at Mercury. The dispositor of Mercury is in the 12th house. I've had all kinds of second house afflictions, throat chakra afflictions, because Mercury is also the GK in Gemini astrology. So it's quite fascinating. This would just show you that while I was I was sent to a speech therapist when I was young, and again, I grew out of all of that. I still have a little bit, but it's really kind of connected there. When the throat chakra is balanced, we communicate powerfully from the truth. We inspire others through our voice. We express without fear. We have loyalty, honesty, reliability, kindness, and gentleness. Those are all Jupiter qualities. Again, we said Jupiter's in the throat chakra. We have expressing oneself comfortably and knowing when to be silent. We speak and act and live from purpose. So we express without fear. So again, those are all second house Mercury things, Gemini things. So you have to, if you're looking at the throat chakra, we have to look at the second house. We have to look at Mercury. We have to look at Gemini and Virgo, and we also have Ketu in my Gemini here. So we have a stationary Jupiter aspecting Mercury. It's probably again, Jupiter, you know, is the grace that solves all problems. I didn't maintain my speech problems all my life. I have had I had my parathyroid out about 6 years ago. I have had, you know, but you can see how all these things are kind of connected through the throat chakra being afflicted with K2 here also. Healing for the throat chakra, nature music, quietness, meditation, positive thinking, food prepared with love, alternate nostril breathing, all these things are kind of helpful. Astrology, we talked about Mercury and Jupiter, very connected to the throat chakra, Mercury and Bucher. Debilitated Mercury, obviously anytime you get Mercury in Aries or Scorpio, you don't want Mercury connected to Mars, and in this case I have Mercury connected to Saturn through the dispositor. It creates problems for the and I have always had trouble speaking up for myself. So this is all that in my chart you can kind of see this, because the dispositor Mercury for Aquarius is, even though it's exalted, it's in the 12th house, and it's the dispositor just being in the 12th house is a problem. Heart chakra, center of the chest. From the heart chakra energizes the heart and thymus glands. Again, thymus is connected to our immune system, and there's a thing called the thymus tab. One of the things that I learned was that sometimes immune system problems are if your thymus doesn't function, you can actually tap it and stimulate it. But it's also a gentle tap 3 times on the heart. In the back heart chakra, there's a back heart chakra, energizes the lungs, heart, and thymus glands also. Thymus helps fight off infection. It's a center for higher and refined emotions. And when the heart chakra gets too connected to the solar plexus, then we get too many negative emotions. You know, if we get angry at people, if we get jealous, you know, all these kind of negative emotions, the energy is moving down from the heart chakra to the, you know, to the solar plexus, and we're not bringing it up higher. Heart chakra is a place of circulation, touch, feeling, love. Thymus gland is very important, obviously, for stuff. When we have a blocked heart chakra, there's never enough love. Love is blocked. I'm unlovable. I'm unable to access my feelings and needs. I give to others but feel disconnected to love. I'm embarrassed when people give me tenderness and softness. I'm hurt by rejection. I've closed my heart. I'm cold. My imagination is blocked. I'm embarrassed when people give me tenderness and softness. So when the heart chakra, physical signs of a blocked heart chakra can be shallow breathing. Again, the heart and lungs are always connected. People who developed heart problems develop lung problems. So when you have vice versa, you always see that. My dad has heart problems, and then he has lung problems because the lungs fill with fluid. Tight shoulders are also connected to another sign of a blocked heart chakra. Again, that's all in that kind of area. Emotional heart blocks, being selfish, too attached, too possessive in love, excessively needy, cut off of needs and feelings. Again, you could have a trauma to the heart chakra. You might, maybe if you were choked or strangled, or you've had a deep emotional wound, you know, those could all create traumas to the heart chakra. When the heart chakra is balanced, I give my heart freely. I emphasize with others. I receive love freely. I unconditionally love myself and others. I blend my interests with those of my partner. Willing to be touched and touch. I access my ideas and inspiration. That's why, you know, Venus has to be part of the heart chakra, and because love and touch often go together. You know, sex is love and touch, and just, you know, my dogs love being touched, and it's, you know, and everybody shows love through touch. Venus is connected to touch, and we express love through touch. And so the heart, when the heart chakra is balanced, we express love through touch. Healing modalities for the heart chakra, wearing pink and green, string instruments. Now the heart chakra is connected to stringed instruments. So listening to violin concertos and any string music will heal the heart chakra. I didn't put this in everyone, but there are musical instruments connected to each one of the chakras, and you can heal the chakras by listening to the appropriate kind of musical energies. Walking, baths, rose quartz, rose aroma, pranayamas, and singing. Singing is a good healing modality for the heart chakra. Obviously, it's a Venus kind of healing modality. I'm going to pull up my chart again. I have a lot of fourth house. I have a lot of stuff. So fourth and fifth house are the physical heart are the fourth and the fifth houses in Vedic astrology. I've got I've got malefic Mercury, Lord of the eighth house, in my fourth house. It's creating a big block. My moon is debilitated. My Venus is in a Parivartana yoga between Venus and Saturn here. And so my Venus is afflicted. So I would say my heart chakra is afflicted the most in my chart, although I have a big heart, and I think it's because I have Lord of the ninth in the first here. I have a very developed brow chakra, I think because of the Lord of the ninth is in the first house here, but my Venus and moon energy is connected to the heart, and I do have all the problems that we talked about I have had, and it shows that my heart chakra is somewhat problematic. Solar plexus. The solar plexus is located in the hollow area between the ribs. So it's not in your navel, it's not in your stomach, it's actually right under your rib cave. It controls the diaphragm, the liver, the pancreas, the stomach, the small and large intestine, the adrenals, the heart, and the lungs. The quality of blood that we have is due to whether the liver purifies or not. So liver is very important for the body. Autoimmune diseases are connected to the solar plexus. Solar plexus is important for pancreas, diabetes, digestive problems, gallbladder, and cholesterol problems. Now the solar plexus is also a center for lower emotions, and that's the dark side of Mars and the sun, right? Ambition, courage, perseverance, anger, hatred, envy, greed, violence, and cruelty. So when Mars and the sun are badly afflicted, when Aries and Scorpio, which are the centers for the solar plexus, are badly afflicted, you can get these kind of darker energies coming out, which is why everybody always talks about Scorpio as being kind of this awful sign of revenge and vengeance and darkness. And it can be that way if Mars is weak, if there are no benefics, to help out Scorpio, then those darker energies can come out. We usually like the higher side of Mars, the ambition, the power, the expression of power, the courage, and those are more of the Aries energies. When the solar plexus is blocked, we control and manipulate other people. We feel powerlessness sometimes. There's two things. If we feel powerless, we control and manipulate people, but it's a problem. We're argumentative and quarrelsome and abusive. Sometimes when the solar plexus is blocked or afflicted, we lack joy. Again, the positive, the sun in its highest energy, when it's exalted and when it's in the right houses, it produces a lot of joy and bliss. It has that higher divine energy. When the sun's afflicted and the solar plexus energy isn't functioning well, then it creates joylessness and devitalization, unable to relax, being frustrated, with expressing your power. So this is all solar plexus energy. It's all Mars and Sun energy, unable to kind of manifest your ideas. And again, if you have a weak Mars or something like that. Physical problems with the solar plexus, too much heat or cold, irritations, emotional coldness, liver and gallbladder problems, digestive disorders, eye problems, and headaches. Emotional problems of the solar plexus, anger, controlling anger, depression from blocked anger. Again, anger is when your solar plexus isn't working right, when it's blocked, when Aries and Scorpio are particularly afflicted, and Mars and the Sun are afflicted, we get depression or anger. I mean, one of the things that people don't understand is depression is often blocked anger. What that means is if Mars is retrograde, if Mars is like in the 12th house, we tend not to express our anger. And when we don't express our anger, we get depressed. And so people always think depression is Saturn and the moon. It can be Mars in the 12th or Mars retrograde. If the solar plexus energy is blocked and we get frustrated, then our anger implodes and we get depressed and frustrated. Solar plexus traumas. You might have been in a violence, if you had violence done to you, if you were in a fire, if you were abused, if you had sunstroke, if you had problems with eating, starvation, lack of joy and humor in one's life, trauma around father, problems with male energy. These are all kind of solar plexus traumas. When the solar plexus is balanced and happy, we're alive, enthusiastic, vital, radiant, we have personal power and charisma, we motivate others, we're focused, we accept completely ourselves and others, and our inner light protects us from negativity. Again, astrology of the solar plexus, third house, Karaka Mars, use of willpower, as I said, Aries, Scorpio, Mars, Sun. We've talked about some of these things before. We don't want Sun in Libra, Capricorn, Aquarius, or the 12th or the 7th houses. We like it in Leo and exalted in such. In my chart, I have an interesting solar plexus. So we're looking at, I have a lot of energy on the solar plexus axis here. So I'm Scorpio rising, and I have Mars in Aries. So Mars in Aries is very strong for expressing will, for acting, and people are always amazed about the amount of energy that I have. And that Mars in Aries does give me a lot of powerful solar plexus energy to kind of move forward. My Sun is also very strong. It's Lord of the 10th in the 5th house. It's in Jupiter's nakshatra. It's in a friend sign. So the two planets for the solar plexus, Sun and Mars, are pretty strong. And yet I have manifested some of the difficult solar plexus energies. So I have the exalted Saturn in the 12th house aspecting Mars. So this is my biggest block, and especially when I was younger, to expressing my power, to being reserved. I've gotten through that. I have to do, I have to get my solar plexus moving to get out there. Otherwise, I kind of implode and don't do anything. But my solar plexus is fairly strong. My digestive has always been weak because of the Saturn aspect. So very kind of interesting. Navel chakra. Now again, I differentiated essentially the navel chakra from the sex chakra. It's located in the belly over the navel. So I mean, it controls the small intestine, the large intestine, the appendix. It affects the speed of giving birth. When it's afflicted, it causes constipation, loose bowels, ability to absorb food properly, can lead to appendicitis if afflicted, intestinal problems, low vitality. Again, Jupiter is connected to generosity and greed. So when Jupiter's happy in the chart, we're generous, we're giving, we're helping others. Big Buddha belly. When Jupiter is afflicted, like in Taurus, we're greedy, we hold on to our money, we don't help other people. So, this is the dark and light sides of Jupiter. You want Jupiter in Cancer because it's the Ajna chakra where the higher wisdom flourishes. Ming Mang, no one really talks about very much. It's very important. It's the back of the navel. So again, chakras have front and back sides often. The back of the navel is the Ming Meng, and it's responsible for the upward flow of prana. It energizes the kidneys, the adrenals, and blood pressure. When you have kidney problems and blood pressure problems, it's often connected to the Ming Meng, the back of the navel. And I don't know, the back of the navel is the Scorpio center. I have not really thought about Scorpio being connected to kidney problems and blood pressure problems, but I haven't seen that, but I have to play with that a little bit more. Sex chakra, which again is located in the pubic area. It's connected to the bladder, urethra, also connected to the throat, as I mentioned earlier, connected to the sex organs and the legs. So when there are problems here, urinary impotency, sterility, enlarged prostate, female reproductive problems. When the sex chakra is blocked, there's an overindulgence in food, sex, alcohol, and drugs. We tend to be envious and possessive. These are the dark sides of Venus. I mentioned Venus is very connected to the sex chakra. When Venus is blocked, then we go for sex, we go for food, we go for alcohol. We get into addictive patterns. Block sex chakra. Venus is a water planet, right? The sex chakra is a very emotional, watery chakra. Our moods get unpredictable. We have the inability to say no. We use sex as a substitute for affection. We're overly sensitive. We live in a fantasy world yearning for sexual fulfillment. Our creativity is blocked. Again, the Venus is the planet of art, and the cure for sex problems is usually you have to take that energy. Some people are oversexed and they just can't control it. You have to get them into creative projects, into taking art classes or producing art or anything creative, making a creative video, and it will take all that sexual energy and transform it into creative energy and art. So when the energy is slowing down, the sex chakra gets blocked. Other physical manifestations: pubic bone, prostate, ovary problems, impotency, excessive neediness, weight problems, bloating, lumps in the breast, lymphatic problems. Emotional qualities of the sex chakra: I have to have food, sex, alcohol, excitement, stress. Parental modeling of sexual inhibition is a problem. You might have had a trauma with sexual molestation or learning to swim, and all these things can injure the sex chakra. You could have had problems with your mother. When the sex chakra is balanced, when you have a strong Venus, you have a strong Taurus and Libra, deeply intuitive, still and sensitive and feeling deeply, rejuvenating and healing oneself, cleansed of shame and guilt around sex, self-nurturing, ease and openness with the opposite sex. It's experiencing the joy of creativity and being creative in everything that we do. Healing modalities: orange is actually the color of the sex chakra. Looking at going to the water, looking at water can be very healing. Swimming, floating, swimming can be kind of a healing modality for the second chakra. Exercises where you use the hip bones, the hips and pelvis and shoulders, getting a lot of body work, getting touched. I mean, whenever people have problems with Venus, particularly if they're Libra or Taurus, I always send them to massage because they need to be touched more. And if they have problems with the second chakra and they're not touched enough, you have to get them to go to massages. Sometimes they need deep massage work, like Swedish massage, to emotionally release deep patterns. Astrology of the sex chakra: again, we're looking at Venus, we're looking at Libra and Taurus. Jupiter more for the navel chakra. Debilitated Venus may make you too sexual and move the energy down too much. Exalted Venus creates beauty and moves it into Pisces, which is the sign of the zodiac connected to the second chakra. Venus is exalted in Pisces, the sign of the second chakra. Okay, so let me I'm sorry, I'm being encyclopedic here. I do apologize. This is me again. So we're looking at Taurus and Libra. We're looking at Venus to see what's going on. Now I have a very complicated second chakra, probably more complicated than anything. So first of all, I have this Parivartana Yoga exchanging houses between Saturn in Libra and Venus in Capricorn. Now, because it's between the 3rd and the 12th houses, it's not a good Parivartana Yoga. It causes problems. 3rd house is a very sexual house. It's primal sexual energy or primal violent energy. Venus in the 2nd house, in the 3rd house, is a little bit oversexed. When I was younger, with Venus in the 3rd house, I was really a little bit uncontrollable about my sexual expression, and I've had prostate problems at the age of 29, which is really kind of very unusual. And again, this is very badly afflicted Venus with the Parivartana Yoga with Saturn in the exalted Saturn in the 12th. Taurus gets an aspect from the moon, I think, and from a debilitated moon, it's not helping a whole lot. Saturn is a malefic in Libra here. It's causing problems. It's not, even though Saturn and Venus are friends, I guess the exchange is better. I would say my second, my sexuality has been very messed up. And of all my chakras, you know, when I see all the afflictions here, it's very clear. Okay, base chakra. Base chakra is located at the base of the spine in the coccyx area. It energizes the muscular and skeletal systems, connected to reproduction of blood, growth rate of cells, general vitality, body heat, affects the heart and sex organs. Base chakra is very important. When the base chakra is afflicted, you have problems with arthritis, spinal problems, blood ailments and allergies, growth problems. Cancer is actually very connected to Saturn in the base chakra. Low vitality, heart ailments, brain and sexual ailments. Now, interesting thing is that the base chakra is very connected to K2 also. It's the trunk, you know, the trunk of K2, you know, again, in mythology is actually the spinal cord. And when people always start Vedic remedies with Ganesh ceremonies, because you want to stimulate the base of the spine and wake up the Kundalini energy where K2 is residing, and that's where Ganesh is residing, at the base of the spine. And so it's not only Saturn. Saturn is also K2 is there, Ganesh is there, and that energy needs to move up to the crown chakra. And you find a lot of elderly people have very depleted base chakras. I mean, you know, Saturn takes over at age 70, and you actually have to get them, you know, knee problems develop, a lot of problems develop as the base chakra gets deleted. Base chakra is, you know, it's life. We need its survival and self-preservation. As the base chakra shrinks later in life, we lose interest in life. Old people get, you know, don't want to get active. When the base chakra is strong, we have vitality, we have interest in life, and we move into the world, the energy flows up. When the base chakra is under functioning, we get impractical, unrealistic, out of touch with reality. We're bad with finances. Now, one of the remedies I always give for the base chakra is deep knee bends. It can just be half knee bends, the chair pose, walking and grounding exercises. So you have to kind of, you have to expand the base chakra. It's very simple. If you have problems with money, if you have problems with survival, if you have problems with fear, you have to increase the base chakra energy. You can just do half knee bends, we do about 40 of them a day. It will increase the base chakra energy. In yoga, the chair pose will ground you. We looked at Saturn poses last week. Meditation, of course, is wonderful. You stimulate Ganesh, it moves up the spine. So base chakra obviously is everything. when base chakra is connected to the earth, again, Capricorn, when it's blocked, fear, worry, insecurity about survival. You have a weak Saturn in Aries, you're always worrying about money. Unstable, dizzy, ungrounded, spacey. You don't want, you meet people like that, they have very developed higher meditation realms from lots of meditation, but they're not grounded. They can't balance their checking account. They can't make money. They're ungrounded. They're meditating too much, so it's a problem. Saturn, when it's out of balance, can be too rigid. It can be stuck and stubborn. That's a problem. It can be too material. As I said, you meet a lot of people, most of the world, who have not enlivened their higher chakras through meditation. They have very developed lower chakras, first chakra, second chakra, third chakra. They make a lot of money. They're very they exert their will in the world. They create a lot of energy, but they don't have any compassion. They don't care about the world. They haven't developed their heart chakra. They may not be very interested in the divine and experiencing it in meditation. Manifestations of blocked earth chakra, you're afraid. The emotions are afraid. You're full of fear of survival. You're afraid of earthquakes. If you've had traumas, earth chakra traumas, accidents, earthquakes, lack of security from mother, loss of mother, those are all, I have had all of those. Afflictions in the astrology, so you don't want Saturn afflicted. Retrograde Saturn is going to be a problem. Saturn, half the Saturn in the first house is particularly bad. You don't want fear in the head. You want it in the base chakra. You want it in the 10th house, where it's going to be good for business. Saturn in the 4th house is not particularly good. You don't want Saturn in the heart. It creates fear. You don't want Saturn in the 8th house or the 12th house. Those are particularly bad places for Saturn. Capricorn and Aquarius should be unafflicted. You don't want malefic aspects there. You want your earth signs strong. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So when Saturn is strong, you're here and now. There's comfort in the body. You're grounded. You manifest financial success. You're aware of the body's needs. You feel a sense of mothering from within. You live in harmony with the earth. All of these things are very powerful. Now this goes back to our cookbook. Now let me go back to my chart again. I'll see if we can look at your charts and we can go over a little bit. I don't have any appointments to go to, and I know you're on overwhelm. So for the base chakra, we're looking at, in my chart, we're looking at Capricorn and Aquarius, and we're looking at Saturn. So we've got, the good thing is that we have Venus in Capricorn. I have actually a very strong base chakra. I have actually been able to manifest a lot of money at times in my life, and I have to, if in transit Saturn gets weak, I just have to remember to do my deep knee bend. So my exalted Saturn is also blessing my Muladhara chakra, my base chakra. It is retrograde. It does get an aspect from Jupiter, which is helping. It also gets an aspect from Mars. So there's a lot of mixed energy for my base chakra, but I also have a benefic in Aquarius. So I would say my base chakra is very strong. I have very strong survival energy. I've been very good at manifesting money. I have had problems with being grounded. I mean, there are afflictions from Mars. Jupiter is helping, is aspecting Aquarius also here. So there are some, I would say, knowing my chakra system, that my Muladhara chakra, my base chakra, is very strong. Okay, so I've thrown a lot at you. You can listen to this lesson again. You can read the charts. Let me take questions. Let me look at your charts and seeing if anything kind of comes through. There's a lot more material. Like this could be a 4-week class. I do need to develop this material. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? I didn't get to the section on nakshatras and chakras. I did put it in the notes. I could go over it next week if you're really interested in. I know it's quite fascinating, but we could do a whole lesson on it. I mean, Jyotish is this is a survey course because it's a mini course. So anyway, so I know you're on Jyotish overload. I've thrown out a lot of information. You'll need to listen to this tape again. You'll need to read the notes again, but let me take your questions. And I also need some reactions. Did you, I just unmuted Laura. Laura, I mean, you're a doctor. Was this useful or was it overwhelming? Or maybe on her cell phone. She was, okay. Judy, I'm just unmuted you. I'm sorry you were muted before. Do you have any questions? Effie, did you want to get on for a second?
Yeah. Well, I just had something I thought was sort of interesting. I had two friends who developed detached retinas right around the lunar eclipse that we just had, and I thought it was kind of interesting because I think they were both in the left eye, which what you were saying, vision and the sun and the moon are so important. And I know you can't always be that literal, but I thought it was interesting that both of them experienced sudden occlusion, obliteration of their vision in the left eye. And I know the one person who's actually a cousin has a debilitated moon, which was in the 12th house from the eclipse. So I thought it was sort of interesting.
Yeah, it's, 12th house and second house are the eyes, and sun and the moon are very important for eyes. And I always get confused. I think 12th house is the left eye and second house is the right eye, but I always have trouble remembering that. If anybody knows it by heart, please let me know.
You say that every day.
Pardon?
Oh, hi. Sorry, I just came back to class, Barry. Sorry.
Oh, good. I was just asking you, I know you've been in and out because of some whatever is going on. Did you, because you're a medical doctor, I'm really interested, a doctor, chiropractor, I'm just very interested in what you thought. This was like, I'm putting my heart on my sleeve with this lesson because a lot of this is very new material that I've been developing over 5 years. And, some of it I know from all my experience studying, but trying to teach it and put it into words is tricky. So I'm just curious if anybody got anything out of this lesson or you're in awe and overwhelmed.
I have, I've been practicing Kriya Yoga, which is Sri Yukteswar. I mean, it goes way back. It goes, thousands and thousands of years back in terms of its relationship with our energy centers. And it's the connection with the constellations and our energy centers as they go up and down the spine of the human nervous system it's a clue and it's a pathway to the complete beyond. It's beyond words, what the human body and the divine light and pulsation that happens in the body. And following the chakra system, according to Kriya Yoga, it's actually, I've learned to simplify it in my own practice. It's like, the bottom center is the money center. The second center is all our relationships and family. And our third center is food. And the fourth center, the heart, is all of our emotions, the good and the bad and the ugly.
Right at the moon, yeah.
And the fifth center is, all of our beliefs. And as soon as you go up to the sixth center, then you've actually begun to access the realm for higher wisdom. And opening the crown chakra, of course, gives us immediate access to the infinite. And
Right. K2.
That's basically, you know, what I've learned, and everything that you just said is great.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I just want to get Claudia, I think you're very involved in healing. Was this lesson useful for you? I don't know if you can talk. Sometimes you can't.
No, I can talk. I have a hacking cough that's coming out. Excuse me. Yeah, no, it was definitely useful, Barry. I have to go over it again because it is a lot to digest, right? So there's certainly, you know, like some of the teachings are a little bit different from what I've picked up from different variable modalities. So I think it will be interesting to actually go through some charts and see how to apply it. So yeah, no, I thought it was really good. Thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It is like it is like I said. This lesson could easily be 3 or 4 lessons, and I because we're doing a mini course, I kind of like put all the notes in, and I kind of we really need to kind of workshop it with examples, and you know, because I've studied chakras so much, and I, you know, if I'm, you know, if I have a client in the room, I can measure their chakras, and I can measure if their base chakra is too small, and then, you know, you kind of confirm it in the chart, and, you know, because Saturn and Capricorn and Aquarius are afflicted, you can kind of, and you can give them modalities. So there are ways that I can use it. And last week, if you listen to the Astro Yoga tape, there are yoga postures that you can do to kind of balance the chakras. And like I said, this really can, you know, we can spend another 4 weeks on it easily. And something that it's like work in development, but I wanted to share it with you. It's like putting my, just getting my painting out there before it's done on some level, but I just wanted to share it with you. Other reactions, Nicole, I know you're into health. Did you find it interesting?
Yes, extremely. I think this is extremely insightful, and also because this massive amount of information, also quite the full spectrum of, you know, linking both chakra and healing, and also all sort of modality in the yoga pose and so on. So I think extremely helpful. Yeah.
You know, it's like I said, we could spend a lot more time with it. I mean, between the 2 tapes on Astro Yoga and this one, if you study them and you study the notes and you play with it, you can develop it. And that's, you know, as I mentioned with James Braha, you definitely have to listen to this material a couple times and read it. I gave you an appendix in the PowerPoints, which is about how to apply Vedic astrology to medical astrology, and I do hope to do a medical astrology class next year, in which case I will probably expand this material to 4 lessons. But I just wanted to give you kind of an overview because I've been wanting to share this for a long time. Thank you, Nicole. Anybody else? Julie, I don't know if you can get on. Julie's been involved in healing for a long time. Julie, can you get on? Okay. Maybe not. Jessica, did you have any questions? I know you may not have as much astrology behind you, but did you find it interesting?
Yes, I found it very interesting. I've been studying astrology for, I mean, it's been a part of my path for most of my life, but the Jyotish is newer to me. It's only been a few years in, but this was very informative. This is a lot of the style of how I teach yoga. I'm a yoga teacher and an artist, so this really speaks volume to me. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You know, Jessica, if you could send me a photo, that would be great, and we can include you. And if you want to send me your chart details, I usually do people's charts for examples. I'm afraid to do any of them today because I don't know what I'll come up with. But
No, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll send that information. I would like for you to have it. So yeah, sure. Great. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Affy, I know this was a little bit new for you too. Was it useful?
Yes, of course,
Yeah,
Barry.
very.
It was.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, just a second. Okay. Affy, go ahead.
It was very insightful and informative and eye-opening, actually. And your tip, so of course I wasn't in your last class because of the time difference, but the tip about doing the chair pose was very useful. I think I'm going to start doing that. I think I've got pretty decent base chakra, but I'm going to try it anyways because everybody could do with more money.
Right, and there's the deep knee bends. I do have a whole series of exercises for healing the chakras. If you listen to the 3-hour version, I put it in Dropbox. I did a 3-hour version of Astro Yoga, and in the 3-hour version, I demonstrated the exercises for healing the chakras, for energizing them. And you want to energize them when they're depleted, because sometimes you know they're depleted because you have low energy, but like when when the base chakra is depleted, you just don't have any energy to do anything. You just want to lay around in bed and not do anything. You don't have any interest in life, you don't even want to get out there, and that's like a depleted base chakra. But when the throat chakra is depleted, you just can't speak up. You're like in a meeting and you can't express yourself. When the heart chakra is depleted, you have trouble relating, you have trouble feeling, you have trouble expressing your emotions, and you can. So there's a whole series of exercises that I did put in Astro Yoga 1, which is the 3-hour version. I put it in Dropbox, and if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, definitely listen to it. These 2 tapes were supposed to go together. This was an expansion on chakras, and then the yoga did talk about chakras, and I have so much more material to give, but I said I have to do like a 4 or 6 hour week workshop on this, and I will get to it at some point. Okay, thank you, Effie. Catherine, you had a question?
No, sorry, Barry. I thought you said Kathy.
Okay, great.
No, I'm all good.
I would like, we could spend some time on your charts. I'm just kind of, sometime we will, I'm going to think about it. Maybe I will continue a little bit next week with some of this material. I may be able to fit in another half hour to kind of integrate this material better. So what I'm going to suggest is, if you haven't listened to the first tape, especially the 3-hour version on Astro Yoga, definitely do that. It's in the Dropbox. I would go over this material again. It's encyclopedic. It wasn't meant for a 2-hour lesson, but you can listen to it again. You can go through the PowerPoints, and let's see if we can integrate it next week, the first half hour of class. So I'll see if I can pull in case studies. I want your questions, and I'll pull up your charts, and I'll see if we can do some case studies where we're trying to integrate kind of the emotional, psychological, physical problems, and seeing how the planets are impacting your chakras and how things are not working, and what healing modalities we can do to get your chakras working again. There is a very practical side of this. It really needs to be workshopped intensely, but we had to introduce it first, so to be continued. Okay, so final Jeopardy answer is, okay. Okay, I know we're on overwhelm. I do thank you for, now we do know, now I knew next time I have an ice storm, I know I can use my hotspot and we can get good reception, and I'm glad we worked out that problem. I'm so sorry about last week and the first few minutes of this week until we solved the problem. Actually, it's totally amazing that I didn't have to switch off the video. Let's hope the video recorded, because I will find out in a minute. Okay, guys. Thank you, and to be continued next week. Namaste.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.